Most foreigners in Korea think there's just one F-5 visa. There isn't. There are 27 distinct F-5 subtypes, and picking the wrong one is genuinely one of the most common reasons applications get rejected, because each has its own income multiplier, residence length, and document set. And here's a detail that trips up even long-term expats: the language requirement almost every guide gets wrong. TOPIK, the test most people study for, isn't actually accepted for F-5 anymore. My name is Vincent, and in this video, I'm breaking down exactly how South Korea's permanent residency system works in 2026, the real pathways, the actual income thresholds, and the language test that genuinely counts. Let's get into it. The F-5 visa grants indefinite permanent residence in Korea. No more annual renewals, no visa runs, and functionally the same rights as a Korean citizen in almost every domestic sense, working freely without restriction, no employer sponsorship requirements, and long-term stability that visas like E7 or F2 simply don't offer. The two things you don't get are voting rights and eligibility for certain government positions. Otherwise, F-5 status puts you remarkably close to citizenship in terms of daily life. And it's worth being clear about one distinction up front. F-5 permanent residence is not Korean citizenship. It's the strongest non-citizen status Korea offers, but naturalization remains a separate, later process if that's your eventual goal. For most long-term expats, this is the pathway that actually applies to you. F-5-1 requires 5 consecutive years of legal residence in Korea on a qualifying visa, typically D7, D8, D9, E1 through E7 status, or F2-7 status. And continuity genuinely matters here, since interrupting your residence resets the clock in ways that catch people off guard, something we'll come back to. On income, as of April 2026, you need annual earnings at approximately twice Korea's per capita GNI, currently landing around 104,800,000 won. That number sounds intimidating, but there's real flexibility built in. Your spouse and family members living with you can combine their income toward this threshold, as long as your own income makes up at least half of the combined total. If you can't clear it through income alone, assets can substitute. Specifically, net worth of at least 1.5 times the average Korean household's net worth can satisfy this requirement instead. And here's the detail worth genuinely correcting, because outdated guides get this wrong constantly. TOPIK is not an accepted F-5 language requirement anymore. What Korea actually requires is completing level 5 of KIIP, the Social Integration Program, or scoring 60 or higher on the dedicated Permanent Residence Comprehensive Evaluation, known as the Jonghap Pyeongka. If you've been studying for TOPIK specifically to hit an F-5 language bar, redirect that effort toward KIIP or the comprehensive evaluation instead. If you're on an F-6 marriage migrant visa, married to a Korean citizen, you have access to a meaningfully faster path. Rather than the standard 5 years, F-5-2 only requires 2 years on F-6 status after marriage, genuinely half the wait compared to the general route. The income requirement is also noticeably lower here, household income at or above Korea's previous year per capita GNI, roughly 52,400,000 won as of applications from April 2026, and your Korean spouse's income counts toward this in full, which meaningfully eases the bar for many applicants. There's an additional accommodation worth knowing. If you're raising a minor child or currently pregnant, that threshold can drop further, to roughly 80% of the standard 1 times GNI figure. Beyond the two most common pathways, Korea runs several genuinely faster routes for specific professional profiles, and knowing whether one applies to you can save years compared to the standard track. F-5-11, the points-based skilled worker route, is designed for E7 holders with strong professional records, scored across income, education, Korean language ability, age, and experience, and it can compress your timeline meaningfully below the standard 5 years if you score well. There's also a K-Star fast track specifically for outstanding STEM graduates, reflecting Korea's broader push to retain foreign talent in science and technology fields, and this connects directly to the top-tier visa system we've covered separately for Korea's E7 route. Professionals in Korea's strategic industries genuinely have multiple accelerated paths converging toward faster permanent residency. On the investment side, F-5-12 covers the public investment fund route, and D-8 investor visa holders converting to F-5 face their own specific bar: average sales of at least 1 billion won across the 2 years prior to application, reflecting that this route is built around demonstrating a genuinely operating, revenue-generating business rather than passive capital. Beyond these, the remaining subtypes cover everything from ethnic Korean nationals meeting specific Nationality Act provisions to spouses and minor children of existing F-5 holders, who qualify after 2 years of maintaining that family relationship while holding F-2 status, to doctoral degree holders in designated fields working at Korean companies. With 27 subtypes total, the practical advice is genuinely simple. Identify your specific subtype before you start gathering documents, because each one has its own distinct checklist, and preparing the wrong file wastes real time. This is genuinely one of the most consequential details in the entire F-5 process, and it catches long-term residents off guard specifically because they assume years of residence automatically stack up regardless of absence. Korea's continuous residence requirement has real absence limits attached to it. Spend too long outside the country in a single trip, or accumulate too many cumulative absence days across your qualifying period, and immigration authorities can determine your residence wasn't genuinely continuous, effectively resetting your countdown. The specific thresholds vary depending on your visa category and circumstances, which is exactly why this deserves individual verification with an immigration consultant rather than assuming a rule of thumb applies to your situation. But the practical takeaway for anyone 5 years into building toward F-5-1 eligibility is this: track your absences carefully well before you're ready to apply, not after you discover a problem during document review. Across most F-5 subtypes, the core document package looks similar: your completed application form, a copy of your valid passport, proof of your residence history in Korea, and income documentation, salary slips from the last 3 months for employed applicants, or business registration and tax return records if you're self-employed or running a company. You'll also need a clean criminal background check, both domestically and from any country you've resided in, and depending on your subtype, your KIIP completion certificate or comprehensive evaluation score. Once your complete file is submitted to your relevant immigration office, it moves through document review, and results are typically communicated within 1 to 3 months, though this window can extend depending on your specific subtype and how complex your file is. If approved, you receive your F-5 status directly. There's no separate ceremony or additional test beyond what your specific subtype already required. One detail worth flagging honestly: because there are so many distinct subtypes with genuinely different rules, and because policy specifics like GNI thresholds shift with the calendar each spring, this is a category where working with a licensed immigration consultant familiar with current Korean regulations is worth serious consideration rather than relying purely on self-research, especially if your situation doesn't cleanly fit the standard 5-year route. It's worth closing on why many long-term residents choose to stop at F-5 rather than pursuing full naturalization. F-5 status gives you nearly everything practically meaningful: unrestricted work rights, no renewal cycle, stable long-term residence without requiring you to navigate Korea's naturalization process, which typically demands deeper integration requirements and, critically, usually requires renouncing your existing citizenship, since Korea generally doesn't permit dual nationality for naturalized citizens outside specific exception categories. For many foreign residents, F-5 represents the practical ceiling they actually want: full functional residence in Korea while retaining their original passport and nationality. So here's the practical bottom line: Korea's permanent residency system is genuinely more flexible than its reputation suggests, with 27 distinct doors in depending on your specific situation. But that flexibility only helps you if you identify the correct subtype from the start, track your absence days carefully throughout your qualifying period, and prepare for the KIIP or comprehensive evaluation rather than TOPIC specifically. Get those 3 things right, and F-5 becomes a genuinely achievable milestone, rather than a moving target. If this was useful, subscribe for more visa breakdowns like this one, and let me know in the comments which country's residency system you want me to cover next.